What's up, Browns fans? This is Mike here, and it's, as you can tell, it's Mike's Takes. This is episode 10. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to Homage for not only being an affiliate relationship with this channel, but also for allowing us to give away some free shirts. There's going to be a new Homage giveaway. There's a link below. All you got to do is follow some of the instructions there, and you can get entered in to win any shirt that you want, any t-shirt that you want from Homage. They're awesome. They make a lot of cool brown stuff, and it's really great that they allow us to give away some free stuff. So participate below. Get yourself an awesome shirt. I wear Homage shirts just about every day, and I love them. Okay, so let's talk about Gerald McCoy. This is the topic of the day. Right? There's not a whole lot going around with Browns camp. We've got the silly Browns beat writers that are complaining that we don't have stars at OTAs because they have nothing to write about, no pictures to take. But so what's the drama? What's currently going on right now? Okay, everybody out there is asking about Gerald McCoy. Okay, I'm going to break it down for you and give you my thoughts on the matter. Let's start off with the positive. Okay. Does Gerald McCoy, is he going to fit in with the culture of the Browns? Does he get along with some of the players? Are they going to be excited? Are they going to accept him into the locker room, being a veteran guy, multiple Pro Bowl guy? How is he going to fit in with the other big personalities in Cleveland? So let's start off with that. First off, is he friends with OBJ? Is he gonna mesh there? Check. They've been to Pro Bowls together. They obviously, it's game recognizing game here, right? These are two guys. They get along well. I just wanted to point that out with this image that I found very easily searchable on the Googles. Baker Mayfield and Gerald McCoy. Let's talk about that one, all right? They had this, the NFL Network made a video. Play a little bit of it.
To meet none other than the Baker Mayfield, the 2017 Heisman Trophy winner.
Mayfield back of the end zone for the touchdown.
Is Baker Mayfield the real deal? We about to find out.
We about to find out. Okay, so you got Oklahoma Sooner, Gerald McCoy, Baker Mayfield. Obviously, there's a connection there. You can watch the video. It's like 4 minutes long. I highly recommend it. It was really entertaining. They're going to get along just fine as well. Okay, so I think from a locker, really, at least with the offensive guys, he's going to get along really well. I'm sure that he's definitely a guy like Gerald McCoy has earned the respect of pretty much everyone around the league at this point. So I would expect him to fit in fine in Browns camp. Now let's talk about some of the potential negatives. First things first. Let's look at age. If you look currently at the Browns starting roster, we have an average age of 26. 26 years old for our starting roster. If you take out Morgan Burnett, who's blasting this up at the 30, it would be even lower. We probably, you know, if Red Wine or if somebody else wins that job, then that's going to bring that down to more like 24, okay? Gerald McCoy's 31 years old. So it is a significant, this is the last contract or maybe one of the last contracts. Defensive tackles typically don't make it till well into their 30s in the NFL. Now, we understand, though, there are some exceptions to that. The exceptional talents out there do make it to the early 30s. You typically don't make it much further than that. Gerald McCoy's 31 years old. So this will increase our age. And this is kind of the interesting thing that I feel about this. John Dorsey is not coming in and trying to build a flash in the pan. He's not trying to come in and just shake things up. He's trying to build a winner for years. I think John Dorsey wants to build a dynasty. And when you bring in guys that are 31, that have leadership, and there's a lot of qualities, I'm sure he's going to get along very well, but when you bring in a guy at the twilight end of your career when you've built a core nucleus, the vast majority of players, both on the offense and defensive side, are in their mid to early 20s. You bring in a guy who's 31, that doesn't necessarily signal, it just doesn't fall in line, I guess, with the overall philosophy of what John Dorsey's trying to do. So I think that is kind of negative number one, right? Now, let's look at some stats. Gerald McCoy has been an incredibly productive defensive tackle throughout the course of his career with the Buccaneers. He's made the Pro Bowl multiple times, and he's done very, very well. This last season in 2018 was not one of those years. If you look at his total production, combined tackles 28, solo tackles 17, and he had 6 sacks, which is right around his average. Not a Pro Bowl year, big Pro Bowl deals. You look at like 2013 when he had 50 combined, 35 solo, and 9.5 sacks. I mean, that's a monster year for a defensive tackle. That is a defensive tackle that is asserting dominance on the field every time he steps out there, with all 16 games played, I should add. This last year he played 14 games, so he didn't play in all of them. And he had significantly less production than he had in the past. All right, so that scares me a little bit. So now we're older. We don't necessarily fit with the philosophy of youth that we have going on in Cleveland. And we've got significant drop-off in production. That's a scary thing. Okay. Now, let's look at contracts. Okay. This is the current contract, and you'll notice that the ones that are struck through are the ones that he's no longer going to receive, but he was set to receive a lot of money in 2019, 2020, 2021. This is a guy who is used to making dough, all right? 2017, he made $13.25 million. 2018, he made $12.25 million, okay? So that's an interesting number. 12.25, $12,250,000 is what he made last year with 17 tackles and 6 sacks. So that's where we're at. Okay, next, let's look at who he would be compared to in the current offseason, I guess, market. And that would be Ndamukong Suh, right? In 2018, Ndamukong Suh had 59 combined tackles. He had 4.5 sacks. That's fine. He's not really much of a pass rusher, more like the overall, I'm going to stop everything, mostly a run-stopping guy at this point in his career. And 36 tackles. Okay? Tackles for loss, 4, whatever. Again, he is a run-stopping guy. He's a guy who's going to block up the center. He played all 16 games. If you look at Ndamukong Suh, he plays a lot of games. If you look at his career, he's had one season where he didn't play all 16 games, and that was in 2011. So he has endurance, and he doesn't have injury issues, and he seems to be going on strong. Because if you look at it, he actually had an uptick in production from his last year in Miami till his 1 year with the Super Bowl runner-up LA Rams. We're going to talk about next his contract. All right. Now you'll look at the top here. We've got Ndamukong Suh, 33 years old. Pro Football Focus gave him an 82.6. He just signed a contract for $9.2 million. Okay. He was making, I want to say he made 14 and a half last year for the LA Rams. He took a significant step back, right, to sign with the Buccaneers, who could have easily kept McCoy and kept paying him. So instead of paying McCoy, well, I think they would have had to pay him $13 million if we go back to the last image. They decided to pay Ndamukong Suh, who had significantly better production, with a Super Bowl runner-up team. So he helped contribute to a winning team, and he ends up taking $5 million less than he made at LA. And $4 million less than they would have had to pay Gerald McCoy. Now look at this. A couple interesting things that we have going on. Do I think, now let's just talk about what Gerald McCoy's market value would be, okay? Gerald McCoy's 31 years old, and Ndamukong Suh's 33. Okay, so that's the difference in age, right? I mean, it's right there. Now let's talk about what the difference in production would be as it relates to Gerald McCoy's market value. Everybody gets excited about Gerald McCoy because you hear, oh, 6-time Pro Bowler, and he's all this, that, and the other thing. Great. But we got to think about market value. Look at a guy like Gerald McCoy. He's going to want something around what he was going to get in Tampa Bay. He also has other suitors. There are other teams out there, San Francisco, the Ravens, New England. There's a lot of teams out there that would want to just step up and grab Gerald McCoy. So there could be some bidding going on. A couple interesting things as well I want to point out with the Pro Football Focus. If you look at where we're at, we have an average of 70 as our Pro Football Focus. If you take out Ogunjobi and then you slot in Gerald McCoy, which I understand this is going to be more of a rotation. It's always good to have depth on the defensive line. These guys get hurt, and just rotating them in and out throughout the game is always a good thing. Defensive linemen tire very quickly. So if you have our best possible team in there, our average goes from a 70 to a 71, taking out Ogunjobi with Pro Football Focus of 64 and adding in Gerald McCoy at 78. It only goes up 1, maybe 2 points, 71 and change, okay? Our defensive line is not necessarily the problem on the team. If you really look at it, where we've got issues is at linebacker, where with Avery and Kirksey that are really low, and that's why we drafted 2 linebackers in the draft. 2 young, athletic guys who, if nothing else, are going to add depth and could potentially even come up there and possibly steal something. Okay, so in closing, do I think the Browns should sign Gerald McCoy? If they can get Gerald McCoy for something around what the Buccaneers got Ndamukong Suh for, and what I mean by that is I think they should not pay more than $9.2 million for Gerald McCoy. If they got him for somewhere around 7 or 8, that would be right along with where his production's probably going to lie. You're paying for that veteran leadership. You're paying for that productivity that you're hoping you're going to get in a resurgence type year. But you can't pay more than 9.2 because you could have just gone out there and signed Ndamukong Suh, right? So here's the problem with that. It's going to come down probably to the Ravens and the Browns. Go watch Quincy Carrier's video. He made a really good point about what's going on with the Ravens and how it could potentially be a bidding war. Personally, if I'm the Ravens, I'm getting real scared, and maybe I might even overpay for Gerald McCoy just to keep him off the Browns. That is definitely a possibility. So the Browns could get into a bidding war with their in-division rival, Baltimore Ravens. And I think these are the 2 teams that are really going to go neck and neck, and they're both going to have double-digit wins. And it's really going to come down to these two teams. Now, the other thing too, another highly rated defensive lineman for the Browns against a running team, Baltimore Ravens, is a scary thing if you're the Ravens. So you're going to beat the Browns. You're not going to beat the Browns with Lamar Jackson throwing. You're going to beat them with running, with that option stuff, and big defensive tackles that are very good are going to make that a problem. So this is also another thing from a strategy standpoint. The Ravens' strategy is definitely running, and you want to limit the amount of running stoppers on your in-division rival. So that could be an issue as well. Long and short, do I really care about how much they're paying him? Not really. We have the cap room. We should spend the money if we feel that he's going to make if he's going to make us better. He's going to give us depth. He's going to give us some assurance on the defensive line. We lose somebody, God forbid we lose, Sheldon Richardson. We have Gerald McCoy who can hop right in there. Is he going to start? Probably. He'll probably even start over Ogunjobi. Ogunjobi's 25 years old. He's got plenty of time. I don't think that necessarily is that big a deal. right? So, do I think we should sign him? I would honestly like to sign him. I hope we don't overpay. But at the end of the day, I don't really care about our salary cap. The salary cap is what it is. I want wins. I think he can help us get those wins. I say you give him 1 year. You sign him for less than what Ndamukong Suh signed for, and everybody's golden. All right, guys, thank you very much. This has been Mike's Takes episode 10. Again, check out Homage. Check out that link below for the Homage giveaway. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. And as always, go Browns.